Beat everything else. And that was the last group. Bed right. No problem. You gotta have a good. Medicated? What? Any type of medication, you're gonna have to have a vet's prescription. If it's medicated. All right, how's everybody doing today?
We're doing okay. South Boston, are you still there? And Keysville, are you still there? South Boston, Keysville, hello.
Okay, Keysville's not connected yet.
Okay.
We'll give it a few minutes. I don't know about South Boston. Nina, are you there? Nina. That's good.
Did you pallet this weekend?
No, we went into.
Keysville? Okay, they're still not connected. Nina, are you there? Are you connected?
I just sent her a text to see if she's there, but haven't heard back.
I did too. She hadn't responded yet. Okay, she's not connected. Alright. She connected up first last time. And it doesn't even look like it's trying to connect to South Boston. Alright, let me go find it.
Actually, you look like you're about to freeze. Are you cold?
Yeah, I think it's cold in here.
All right. Where you're sitting is probably the coldest place. If you get over, it doesn't, what it's doing is coming down and it's also reflecting off that wall. Okay. Well, if you go to sleep, you'll know you froze to death.
We really almost did yesterday. We floated at the tank. Which one? The Smith. That water was cold.
Where'd you go in?
At the complex. Sports complex.
Mm-hmm.
We just had some bridge, like right beside some bridge. It's like the iron bridge.
Okay, I've never been down there, but most of the mornings that I go over the river, it'll have a fog about that because the water's so cold and the air above it is so warm, so moist and warm.
I was surprised. I've never been in a river water that cold.
Well, it's coming out of the bottom of Philpott Dam.
Yeah.
And
Me and my friend, we went to Lake Sunday morning. We got to Lake at 6 in the morning, and there was fog on top of the water daytime there. You couldn't even see going in the lake, the boats and stuff.
you talking about Philpott? Yeah, water in Philpott's just cold. It's deep and it's cold. It's coming out of all these mountain streams. You got a lot of springs in it, and it's just cold. I went trout fishing. Oh, it's been a long time ago, but we were in the area far from the dam. It was from the middle of July, had on hip boots, and my teeth were chattering because I was so cold. It's none of these other mountain streams are that cold because, you know, it'll sun will get in, hit the bottom, and warm it up a little bit. But Smith is not. Smith's something else. Did you fishing?
Yeah, we put in the bridge, or the dam, and rode up past the bridge of the river. Caught some bass and caught a yellow perch. Citation. I never did that before.
I didn't know there was any yellow perch in there.
Caught one.
I caught one New River a long time ago, but it was what I always want's a walleye. I never have caught a walleye.
We caught probably 3 or 4 out of field pot. One time I was just throwing the bank and caught one casting bass fishing, and the other one throwing worms out of the pot.
Oh yeah.
15. Mr. Ayers, I did not bring my sheet with
14
me.
and 3/4.
I didn't bring my sheet with me today, but if Thursday we have in class, can you sign for both days?
I don't know whether I can or not.
Well, you know I'm here.
My signature's just, you know, they vaporize that.
You know I'm here.
We'll work
I've
it
been real
out.
sick. My little girl's been real sick. Maybe I have to take her to school this morning.
All right. We got people working on it. So hopefully we can get this worked out. Gainesville, you're still not connected. Okay. I hope everybody had a good weekend. I've got some of the lab reports in. And remember, guys, that stuff is due. Let's put it up here. Your lab report's due Friday at midday. The meat lab assignment. I don't know what John's is due. Mine is due Friday, September 9th. So make sure you, I've got a few of them turned in. So make sure you get those turned in by that date. And then that article, the animal welfare article, is due September 11th, which is on Sunday. Okay? That's on discussion. So, if you have any questions, give me a call or email. Kind of let you guys know what's going on with my schedule this week. Outside of class, I'm covered up this week. I've got some horses in I'm showing. So this weekend, Friday, I'll be at a show. And next weekend, we'll be at a show. So Thursday, I'm cut. I'm going to text this girl Nina back. I can't walk and chew gum.
But he tries to stay on a horse.
Thursday, yeah, I know. I don't know how. I was riding one this morning. This horse, this guy sent me, spoiled horse, and she decided she was done. And I said, "You're not done." And she said, "Oh, yes, I am." She bucked the length of my arena, which is over 200 feet, and reared up and everything else. And she decided that she wasn't done either. Luckily, I got her over that. We worked a little bit more, and she chilled out, and I I found a good note to quit. But anyway, how I stayed on, I don't know. And I'm glad it didn't come off. But we, so I'm going to be pretty covered up Thursday. So if I can't, and I'll be out of reception Thursday night and Friday night. So y'all try to call me. You're probably not going to get me. I'll have to call you. Keesel's on. So, but, you know, I teach part-time and I train and show horses as well. So, and I've got a couple shows this week or this month, and I got one next month. So, anyway, just bear with me if I don't get back with you and what's going on.
Sir.
Yes.
Sir. We can't hear you.
You can't hear.
Yeah, you have been talking kind of quiet, Dwayne, compared to everybody else. You may have to turn the TV volume up in Keysville.
Yeah, you may have.
South
My
Boston.
volume's all the way up, and my microphone is here in front of me. When you can't hear me, let me know, and I'll get more in front of the microphones. All I can tell you.
I think you were twisting too, Dwayne.
I might have been. So, anyway, I will get back with you if you call. Okay, South Boston is now connected. Keysville's now connected. We're all connected. So, we'll get started after 10 minutes of fighting this. Just bear with us, guys. We will get you connected. And as I said, as you know, these are posted on Blackboard for you. Tom gets them posted. So anyway, your assignments are due this weekend for this class. Make sure you have them submitted on time. And if you have questions, call or email. Now, last week or Thursday, we were talking about domestication of plants and how we've gone from the hunter-gatherer stage to settlement stage into the Neolithic period, and we were talking about the domestication of grains and domestication of animals. And we also talked about how the human genome has changed because our diet's changed, particularly eating starches and the enzyme amylase, which is in our saliva, that will start to digest starch when we eat it. So things has adapted. Our genome is adapted to our diets, and settlement. Humans are starting to settle down that Neolithic period. We're starting to see military. We're getting a written language. We're getting a money system. We're getting numbers and record keeping. And jobs are starting to get specialized. So society is starting to form, and it's forming. And agriculture is making large leaps and bounds with the domestications of plants and animals. And we talked a lot about the plant domestications and where these plants were domesticated throughout the world. And then we ended up talking about the domestication of the dogs. That was the first animal that was domesticated, we said, and it came from the gray wolf. And they were used for hunting during the nomadic stage, the hunter-gathering stage. So they assisted in hunting, and they provided protection. And we said that it's believed that dogs came across the Bering Strait to North America at the end of the last ice age, which was about 14,000 years BC. Okay, what do you think the second animal that was domesticated was? What's your guesses? Close. What about the cat? Well, it might not, time-wise, it was some livestock. Cats were very important, domesticating cats. What do you think they used cats for?
Cats like to, whatever they kill, they like to show it to their, like the owner.
Yeah,
They
they
bring
sure
it.
do.
They bring it to. Yeah.
When my wife, Cat, and I will call them my wife's cats, kills a mouse and leaves it there, my wife always makes me move it. She just won't move it herself. We got a good mouser. But why do you think what's important about cats? They're mousers, right? They like to kill mice and rats. Y'all agree? All right. What do mice and rats like to eat? They like to eat grain. So, the cats reduce losses of their stored grain because they would kill the rodents. So cats were very important. When you guys studied history and social studies in high school and junior high, did y'all ever study about the Black Plague? Okay. What caused that? Does anybody know?
Fleas from rodents.
Okay, I have one mice. And I heard a lady speak. What did you say?
Fleas from rodents.
Yeah, fleas from rodents. Okay, so it was the fleas from the mice and rats that caused the Black Plague. Well, what people didn't know, they didn't know what caused it in that time frame, and they were during that time they were really concerned about witchcraft and supernatural, and cats were associated with witches. And that was a bad thing from that standpoint, they thought. So they killed the cats. The rodent population increased. And the spread of that disease increased. Cats were important. But that was just a little bit of history. Livestock came on scene. We started seeing the domestication of sheep about 9,000 BC. Goats came on the scene about 8,000 BC. Cattle about 5,800 BC. And these are in the Fertile Crescent areas, that Middle East, around the Euphrates, Tigris rivers. The Asian cattle, the Bos Indicus, like your Zebu and your Brahma type cattle, they came on board, or they started getting domesticated about 2,500 BC in the Indian subcontinent. So they're like pigs, swine and poultry. We see two different segments of cattle being domesticated in a couple different time periods. And I know this is kind of boring, these dates and stuff, but just kind of putting things in perspective and how it affects agriculture. Now, what's so great about sheep, goats, and cattle? Food, clothing, milk. They provided meat, they provided milk, they provided leather. What else can sheep, cattle, and goats do? Ruminants. What do they eat? They eat grass. Okay, can our bodies utilize grass if we eat grass? Not very well. We're not made to eat grass. The cattle can use it, sheep can use it, goats can eat it, and they convert that grass and plant materials that we're unable to use. They can convert that to products that we can use. That's what's so important about sheep, cattle, and goats. They turn those products that we're unable to use for our bodies into high quality protein foods. And these animals, sheep, cattle, and goats, they can be raised by farmers, and they can also be raised by nomadic tribes. They just herd the sheep, goats, and cattle to wherever the forage is. And when I say forage, I'm talking about the material, plant material that they can eat. Okay, so they move their herds, and their flocks and herds to where the grass and plant material are. How are livestock today raised? Are they all raised the same way, or are they raised in different systems throughout the world?
Different systems.
Yeah, different systems. Do we still see nomadic people raising livestock in the world today? Yeah. Down around Africa, they still have that nomadic lifestyle with livestock. What about in the United States? No, we don't see that here, do we? We don't see it in the European countries. You know, they're raised on farms and ranches, like in the United States. So different countries have different methods, different systems of raising livestock, including pigs and chickens, and buffalo. But it works. They're very adaptable, and they're adaptable to their environment. So it provides some flexibility there. They can take those proteins, or they can take that plant material and convert it to high quality protein products for people. Whether it's meat or milk or eggs. Can y'all hear me okay now?
Yeah, it's fine,
Yep.
Dwayne.
Okay. Now pigs, they were domesticated two different areas about the same time, about 7,000 BC. Some of the pigs, you had a group of pigs that were domesticated in China, and you had a group of pigs that were domesticated in that Fertile Crescent, the Middle East. Chickens, mainly domesticated in China. They came on board about 5,500 BC. And so pigs and chickens, we talked about being excellent scavengers, right? They can eat anything. Y'all agree? Or just about anything. They can eat meat. They can eat plant products. They're great scavengers. One of the things about chickens, those hens will lay eggs, and you get a high quality food, high quality protein product without killing an animal. And they're easy to feed. Pigs, they have litters. They have more than one animal in their offspring, typically. 7 or 8. We talked about this last week. So you see a lot of chickens and pigs in developing countries because of the litters with pigs and the scavenger ability with them, and chickens because you can eat the eggs without having to kill the chicken and get a good quality protein. When I was in Mexico, it was nothing unusual. You know, people just let their pigs run loose, and we'd be in somebody's house talking to them. And I kid you not, honest to goodness truth, as sure as I'm sitting here today, I was sitting on the couch in this family's house, and it was hot, humid, and they had a little metal bucket full of cow manure, dry cow manure, and they were burning it to shed off the mosquitoes. Malaria was a big fear down there because of mosquitoes. So they were always burning cow manure or something smelly and kind of have that smoke there to keep the mosquitoes out. They were burning cow manure, sitting on the couch, doors are open, windows are open, and this sow and her pigs comes wandering through the living room, or that room we were at, I just call it living room, come running through that room, through the kitchen, and out the back door. I mean, I'd never seen anything like it in my life. And they didn't even care. You know, pig in the house, no big deal, happens all the time. When it went into the kitchen area, they just kind of got up and shooted on out the door so it wasn't getting their food. But they're scat. They just let them run loose, and I guess they go kill them one when they wanted it. I don't know. I don't know how it all worked, but pigs are running around everywhere. Horses came on the scene about 4000 BC, by over in Eurasia, by the Europe, Asia area where they kind of join in. The nomadic people domesticated the horse. Then we had some other animals come on that got domesticated, like camels, llamas, alpacas, donkeys, reindeer. I guess Santa Claus needed them to pull his sleds. Water buffalo, guinea pigs. What are guinea pigs used for? I think we talked a little bit about that. Yeah, they're used for food. Down in South America, they eat guinea pigs. And they're big, 4 or 5 pounds. Yeah, they're big. And it's just a part of their diet. What about water buffalo? What's water buffalo used for in today's agriculture? Okay, it's a draft animal. You're correct. What else is it used for? Milk. Some countries use water buffalo to milk for dairy. A lot of mozzarella cheese from Italy is made. True mozzarella cheese from Italy is made from water buffalo. Okay, we've talked about domesticated animals. Let's talk about what are feral animals. Y'all know what that means? What they are?
Something that was once domestic, but got away at some point and went back to the wild.
Exactly. They were domesticated and got loose and reverted back to their wild state. They breed in the wild now. They have a stable population. Can you give me some examples? Feral hogs.
Mustangs.
Mustangs. Okay. I didn't know there were feral cattle in Hawaii, but I'm not going to doubt your word on that. So here in the United States, we have horses, donkeys, wild burros, right? Wild hogs, wild cattle. You said there in Hawaii. Going back to John's class, do you think these affect the ecosystems? think these feral populations affect the ecosystems?
Yes, because I know that the hogs, like down in Florida, they tear everything up.
Yeah. And they're getting in the Midwest. They're in the Corn Belt. What kind of havoc can they wreak there?
The cornfields.
You bet. A lot of money. Can these feral hogs pass on disease to our domesticated hogs? Oh yes. Oh yes. Big time. Mustangs out west, they affect the ecosystem as well. With the
They take up
with
public
plants.
grazing land.
Yeah. There's you got that ongoing battle with the ranchers that the wild horses are eating their grass that they're paying for. And that's, I see both sides of the story on that. But the population of horses is pretty big. I think they need to try to keep that stable. Because, even if there wasn't cattle there, they would still wreak havoc on those plants and eliminate some species of plants or change that ecosystem by what they graze. And probably end up with starvation if it's overpopulation, just like with any wild animal. They do have a big effect on the ecosystems because they compete against native animals and can affect domestic agriculture. Now, the book, they gave a couple examples of that we haven't talked about. One of them are dingoes in Australia. We've heard about the dingoes in Australia, the wild dogs. And then also the soy sheep, SOAY, is a feral sheep off the coast of Scotland, some island off the coast of Scotland they talked about. But be able to understand, what feral animals are and give me some examples. The book really spends a lot of time on these soy sheep. They were brought in by Vikings about 4,000 years ago, and they've gotten to be a pretty big population. But anyway, that's all I'm going to say about the soy sheep. We have our own issues with feral animals here in the United States, especially with the hogs. But that kind of finishes up chapter 2. Do y'all have any questions on those first 2 chapters? Kind of looking at agriculture worldwide and how man developed and when agriculture started being developed, with the domestication of plants and animals. All right. Y'all don't have any questions, we'll just kind of move on up to chapter 3. Chapter 3, what we're looking at, chapter 3, is a global overlook or a world, or looking at the livestock industry throughout the world. Okay. So kind of what we're looking at, guys, we're going through this history of agriculture, the domestication of plants and animals, talking about the importance of agriculture in our lives, talking about global livestock industry. Sometimes it helps to get the big picture of what we're dealing with, because we're going to narrow this down from something big in past history, and we're going to narrow it down. Okay? So it's important to keep the big picture in mind. Why do we do this? What's so important about animal science? Why is it important to us? So why is it important to us? Even if we don't raise animals, why is it important to us? Yeah, you want to learn from the past.
Animals are a big part to our lives.
They
We'll
are.
play a big role.
Yeah. How many of y'all barbecued this weekend? Threw some hamburgers on the grill, or hot dogs, or steaks. Went to your county fair and had a hot dog, or a hamburger, or a barbecue. How many of y'all ate meat this weekend? About everybody? Or drank a glass of milk, or had ice cream. We're all impacted with animal agriculture. So that's why it's important. And not just the products we eat or the products we use or wear. Let's talk about, you can take a look at the makeup women wear, product of animal agriculture. Pharmaceuticals, product of animal agriculture. It's important, guys. So, people depend on animal production and processing. Some of us depend on it for our livelihoods. That's what we do for a living. Other people depend on it to live, which, they like to eat meat, milk. They like antibiotics when they're sick. Like to wear makeup. So we're all dependent on animal
Like to
agriculture
hunt.
in some form or another. What's that? I didn't catch everything you said.
Never mind.
Go ahead.
No, it was. I was talking about hunting, but that had nothing to do with agriculture.
Yeah, it does.
Hunting? Yeah, it does.
Oh, it does.
Yeah. He laughs. He knows what a DMAT tag is. All right. If we take a look at hunting, guys, how come that deals with agriculture? Or how does that deal with agriculture? Well, I want to make this interesting to you guys too.
You can eat deer meat,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Can you speak up?
venison.
Yeah. Venison. How many of y'all like to eat deer meat? Pretty good stuff when it's fixed right. Correct? Yeah, you can. Okay. So, are there ranches, are there industries, or ranchers out there that raise deer for the sole purpose of bringing in people to hunt and letting them hunt? Yeah, they do. Deer are farmed. In other countries, they raise deer for meat. Here in this country, we tend to raise deer for for sport, for hunting. But other countries do raise deer for meat. But it is a viable part, or some farms really depend on hunting for some income. You guys there in Keysville, and out there in Southside, y'all raise a lot of grains out there. Y'all get damage from deer?
Yeah,
I
all
know
the
John
time.
gets it with grapes.
They in our home garden.
Yeah, they cause a lot of damage. So, if you got enough land, a lot of these farmers check, go through the insurance and stuff they need, but you know, they'll sell permits for you to hunt on their land, and they'll derive some income from it. But man, they tear up fences. They'll eat. If you plant alfalfa, they'll eat it. They'll eat your soybeans. They'll eat your corn. They'll eat your gardens. They can cause some damage, and they can also transfer disease to cattle. Now we've got elk in Virginia. They stocked elk down here in my part of the states. You think deer cause fence damage? You see what an elk does. They don't care. They'll go right through it. Huh? Yeah, I do have coats. So deer and hunting is part of agriculture. What's, yeah, they do. So it is part of agriculture. The UN, the United Nations, the Food and Agriculture Organization, part of the UN, says that livestock production accounts for 37% of world agriculture. Crop production's about 63%. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I've heard the argument about why don't we just raise more crops and do away with livestock instead of raising crops to feed livestock, and then we eat the livestock. Let's just go to an all-vegetarian diet, just raise more livestock. Why is that unfeasible? Okay, we get high quality protein from animal products. Why else would that be unfeasible? Okay.
There probably wouldn't be much profit in like grain and stuff like that because we use a lot of that to make feed.
Well, maybe. You might have an argument there. I'm not going to dispute it. But if there's no animals for us to eat, we're going to be eating more grains or using that land instead of grain to grow produce or small fruits. I don't know. But what I do know is that our land base, not all of it, is suited for planting crops. And y'all have farms there in Keysville, right? You two guys there sitting together. I take it y'all are farmers.
Yeah.
Now, okay, is all of your farms suitable for planting crops?
No.
No, actually our farm is in Halifax and there's a lot of sandy land and it's basically you can only grow like tobacco on it and that's it.
Okay. What about yours?
It's just a whole lot of it's kind of it's not really flat. It's a whole lot of ups and downs, and so we have a lot of land that's timberland just to keep erosion from being too bad.
Okay. So some of the land you're not able to grow crops on because it's too steep or it's not the right type of soil. You get out west, there's not enough water. And you have those native species of the high desert, like buffalo grass, small grass, little blue stem, big blue stem, Indian grass. Let's see, 6 weeks fescue, sedge, I don't know. They got a bunch of different grasses out there. And they got a lot of different plants that the animals eat, that cattle eat. That's not a grass. They call them forbs, like prairie coneflower sunflowers. Um, I don't remember some of the other ones, uh, but they're plants. It's not a grass that cattle eat. They're referred to as forbs. But you get out there, out west, uh, you know, you take a look at Nevada, Arizona, Utah, Colorado, that high desert country. Man, it's cattle country. Uh, it's dry. You can kind of, you know, when I was out there cowboying, I was thinking, what do the cattle eat? They find something to eat. But it's unsuitable for crops. In eastern Montana, uh, around Little Bighorn, man, it's just hills, grass-covered hills. Great cow-calf country. Not too great for crops. It's a tall grass prairie. Same thing in the sand hills of Nebraska, the sand dunes, covered with tall grasses. They get about 18 inches of rain. You plow that up, you got a washout or a blowout. The wind keeps blowing all the time, and it just blows that sand, and you'll have a humongous, bare, just sand, nothing growing on it. So you don't mess with that base, you know, with that grass. You don't want to mess it up. Very unsuitable for crops. So a lot of our land is just suitable for these animals that can go through there and eat that plant material and convert it to another product. Even in southwest, you know, here in southwestern Virginia, man, it's steep. And we can cut down some of those trees and grow some grass and graze. If it's too steep, we leave the trees on there because of erosion. But you know, not all the land suitable for crop production. And we got a lot of rocks. At least I do. So, you know, another country deal with the same thing. Differences in land. That's my argument. At least we can use that land to get something. What do you guys think are the top animal production countries? What country produces most livestock? Somebody said China. That's number 2. You're correct. United States.
India.
Number 1.
Oh.
What did you say?
I said India.
India did not make the top 3 for animal production. When we start talking dairy, you're going to see India pop up. But for total animal production, USA, China, and Brazil. Okay, guys, what has happened the last few weeks with the beef industry? What did Congress do? Or some type of trade agreement? They have signed some type of agreement with trade that will allow Brazilian beef to be imported to the United States. Our feedlot industry is losing $400,000 a day because Brazil is pumping their beef into our country. And the other reason is because Australia, this TPP, you hear these politicians talk about in this race. You hear Donald Trump talk about how bad TPP is for America. Some type of trade agreement with the Pacific Rim. But what it's done, it's allowing, it's part of it dealing with the beef sector. Japan is now taking their beef from Australia because it's better deal for them under this agreement. So we're not shipping out the beef that we were a couple years ago. There's not, you know, there's not enough of these countries aren't taking their high-end cuts. We're bringing in Brazilian beef like crazy. We've lost one of our major exporters in Japan that we exported to. Price of cattle are dropping at the livestock markets, aren't they? I don't know why it's not dropping in the grocery store. That's got me baffled.
You do?
Tell me why then, John.
Profit. They're milking
Yeah,
the cow.
Especially on food stamp day. Lord have mercy. No one looks what's going in. Wait till
You know, the hog industry, when the price of hogs drop, for live hogs, they drop. You see that change at the grocery store pretty quick with pork prices dropping. You don't see that in the cattle industry. And right now we've got cheap cattle and high grocery prices for the meat. I think they need to drop it and get that product moved out. Maybe we get some stabilization in our prices. But you know, I'm not an economist. I don't know. That's just kind of my thinking. But it's frustrating. If you bought steers this year to graze and resell this fall, you're selling them less this fall than what you paid for them this spring when you bought them, even though you might have put on 200 to 300 pounds. That typically does not happen, guys. Yeah. No. So we're in a conundrum in the beef industry. It's scary. And we don't know which way to turn if you're a producer. The outlook doesn't look good right now with these new agreements and with what the government's doing. You know, I remember growing up, you'd ask a question. You know, I remember asking one of my teachers some question in school, and she looked at me and she said, "Dwayne, what does that have to do with the price of eggs in China?" And now it does. You know, because it's a global market. You know, what happens in Brazil can affect prices in the United States. What happens in Argentina with their corn crop can affect the price of corn in the United States. It's a different world out there, guys. It's a global deal. And we don't have control over it. You know, sign of a pen up in D.C. can wreck one of your markets. It's scary. But anyway, get off my box here. But your top 3 animal producing countries, USA, China, and Brazil. Overall, globally, guys, what do you think's happening with meat production? In countries where it's expensive. I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's decreasing.
Yeah, pretty much right now. We're kind of, you know, the last few years in the United States, we have really decreased our cattle herd. We had a major drought in the Southwest and out west. Mexico was in that same drought, and they decreased a lot of their herds. So, you know, beef prices shot sky high the last few years. Last year, it bottomed out, and it's continuing to bottom. I don't know what's going on. Maybe there were more cattle than what people were estimating. But in general, meat production, in some parts of the world it's declining, and in some species in different countries. It's changing. We see what we're seeing in Western Europe and in Japan. Meat production's decreasing. It's very expensive to raise livestock in Japan. They've got a big population. They don't have a lot of land, and it's pretty expensive to raise livestock. They can import it cheaper than they can raise it, so they do. Western Europe's the same way. It's a global economy. If these countries can buy it cheaper, they do, and they just quit raising it. Now Russia, they're trying to increase their ability to be self-sufficient. So they have bought a lot of breeding stock from the United States in cattle, with beef cattle and dairy, and is trying to increase their production of livestock. Food is a funny thing. We have to have it to survive. And in order for governments to be stable, they need to feed their population. If their people are being fed, they're going to be okay. If their people are hungry, they get upset and they overthrow the government. So food really is a national security issue. So there's economics involved with food production, and there's national security issues involved with food production. So agriculture is kind of it's a very political hot topic at times. But you have to have it, because if something were to happen and you can't get food shipped into you, your citizens are going to go hungry and overthrow your government. So they want producers in their country to help stop that. So it's kind of tricky how different countries approach their agriculture and stuff, but Japan and Western Europe, they import a lot of their meat. It's just so expensive to raise. But other countries are starting to try to raise more meat to get that self-sufficiency. We're lucky in the United States we can raise enough food to feed us, and we feed a lot of the world. We're very fortunate to live here, and very fortunate to have the environment that we have. Now, why do you guys, or at least the majority of you guys, I don't get. Do we have any vegetarians in here? I promise I won't make fun of you if you are. Okay, I just want to know if we have any vegetarians in here. Don't be afraid to speak up. Okay, we don't have any vegetarians at Keysville. What about Patrick Henry?
Don't think so, Dwayne.
Okay, no vegetarians at Patrick Henry. What about Southside? Any vegetarians there?
None here.
Okay. And I know Nina's not a vegetarian, because this morning in plant science we saw her eat a big old breakfast burrito, right, Nina?
That wasn't me.
What's that?
That was a different girl.
Oh, I wasn't you. Okay. Are you a vegetarian, Nina?
No.
Okay. All right. There's not any vegetarians in here. I've had them in here in the past, and that's fine. I don't have any issues with it. So when I ask this question, I can honestly ask this question. Why do you guys and girls, why do you eat animal products?
That's good.
Why do you? Yeah, it's good, isn't it? I'll agree with you. Okay, when we think about, other than taste, okay, you know, we like to eat hamburgers and steaks and pork chops, bacon, right? And a bunch of other different meats and cuts of meat, chicken and stuff, eggs, ice cream comes from milk, cheese. You know, we have that preference for animal products. Why, you know, and we have, what about our nutritional advantages from animal products or our nutritional reasons? Are animal products nutritious?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, animal products, they provide a really high quality protein. They provide a lot of minerals. Iron being one of them, zinc, calcium. They provide a lot of vitamins, especially the B12 or the B complex vitamins. We get a lot of those from animal products. So we get vitamins, we get minerals, we get high quality protein, and we have a product that we prefer in our taste. Now, as we look at a global economy, what we have seen in the last several years, we have seen an increase of some of these developing countries get an influx of money, right? Now, I don't know if you guys remember, let's take India for example. You know, India traditionally has been a pretty poor country, right? Y'all agree? You guys agree with me or disagree?
Agree.
Okay, now, what's happened in India the last several years, 15, 20 years? They've developed quite a bit, especially in technology, right? How many of you guys have computers or cell phones? About all of you, right? Y'all agree?
Agree.
Okay, have you ever called that number to get help? Did you get an American? What's that? Not very often. You usually get somebody from India or some Asian country, right? And they're hard to understand and they're trying to talk you through it and you can't understand them and it's frustrating as all get out.
That's because they pay them less and they make more money.
What's that?
They pay them less and they make more money off of working out of other countries than they do people here.
Exactly. A lot of their industries have moved offshore. India's got all sorts of call centers. A lot of our manufacturing has moved to these other developing countries because labor's cheaper. And so that's given workers income. It's given them jobs that they didn't have before. And so if you don't have a lot of money and you guys, you guys that are traditional college students, y'all know what I'm talking about because you're broke. You're going to college, you got a part-time job, and paying tuition and paying for books and you're just a broke college student. I've been there. I know. Okay? And you'll learn a lot from this experience. Trust me. You'll struggle, you wonder, but you'll get through it. And you'll learn how to manage money because you don't have much of it. And you got to figure out what money goes where. And you make sacrifices to pay your bills And it's a tough time, but you will get through it and you'll learn a lot from it. But one of the choices you'll make, or that I made, was the food I ate. Okay? I didn't go out and eat a lot. I was broke. I didn't eat a whole lot of meat. Well, I did. I'll take that back because I worked on the farm and, he would give us, like if we slaughtered a lamb or something, he would give us some meat. I ate a lot of lamb burger when I was in college, and one of my roommates was on a dairy farm, and they had a cow get down, and they butchered her, so I ate a bunch of dairy cow. That's one year. No, these were fed pretty good. It wasn't real lean. So, I mean, it wasn't real fatty, but it wasn't like deer that lean. But yeah. So anyway, but what I bought was a lot of beans because it's cheap. Ramen noodles, probably not very nutritious, but they're cheap. Macaroni and cheese. I bought food, beans, rice, stuff that was cheap because of my buying power. I didn't buy a lot of meat, but I did try to buy beans are high in protein. But as I got, when I got out of school and started making money, I started buying more meat. Okay, and it's the same way with these developing countries. You get more money, you're not going to buy more beans, right? Or more rice, more corn. You're going to expand out the different foods, right? You're going to start buying some more meat or more vegetables. So it's the same thing with these developing countries. As they get more money, they got more money to buy food, and so they say, the heck with beans, I'm buying some meat. I'm going to have a burger tonight. And so, we just mentioned that we prefer to eat animal product, or, we like it. And so we, when we have the money, we buy animal products. Y'all agree? Disagree? What about you guys at Patrick Henry? Some of you guys look like you're asleep. Wake up. Am I that boring? So, as the world economy grows, more people have more resources to buy food, particularly animal products. Let's think about the U.S. In the U.S., in the United States diet, okay, on average, okay, we're talking. Now you think about averages. If you think about, as Dixie gives the example, if you put half your body in an oven and the other half in a freezer, on average, you're the right temperature. Okay? There are extremes to either side. But on average, you're going to feel okay. All right. But in the U.S., animal products provide 35% of our energy. They provide 68% of our protein. 78% of our calcium. What's so important about calcium? Bones. Right. So that's a pretty important mineral. Not only, about bones, calcium is very important for your muscles to work, especially your heart. Okay? So you have calcium problems, your muscles aren't going to work, and you're probably going to die because your heart won't work either. That's going to be a little quicker than the bone did. How many of y'all ever heard of the problem called milk fever in cows, particularly dairy cows? Y'all ever heard of that? Where a cow, it's after she's calved, she's milking really heavy, and a lot of that calcium is going into that milk production, and she gets all stiff in her muscles, kind of wobbles around, can't bend, falls down, trembles, and then she dies. Calcium deficiency, you can go in there and give her an injection of calcium, and she'll just pop back up like a miracle. Walk off like nothing ever happened. There's another disease, metabolic disease called grass, and that's due to magnesium, very low magnesium. And the symptoms are the same. You don't know whether it's grass technique or milk fever in certain parts.
What about mastitis?
Mastitis is an infection in the udder. It's not a metabolic disease. It's a bacterial disease in the udder, and left untreated, it can kill a cow. So it's pretty devastating to the dairy industry. Sometimes they lose that quarter. They won't milk from that section of the udder. If you're lucky, you give them some antibiotics, get everything cleaned out, get them on antibiotics, and get them treated, and they'll be all right. But it can kill the cow if it gets bad enough. But calcium is very important in their diets. It can affect your muscles, it can affect your heart, and definitely affect your bones. So, but animal products provide about 35% of our energy, 68% of our protein, 78% of our calcium, 39% of our diet for iron comes from animal products, 42% vitamin A, and anywhere from 37 to 98% of our sources for the B complex vitamin. Very important in our diet. When you take a look at developing countries, that changes. The amount of protein and other nutrients from animal products is a lot lower because they just don't eat those animal products. They just don't have it money to buy. But here it's a big portion of our diet, provide a lot of nutrients. Any questions? Comments? Okay. You kind of understanding how the importance of agriculture, importance of animal agriculture.
Yes, sir.
Kind of seeing the big picture of everything. No answers. Is that a yes or a no?
Yes.
Okay, yes. Good deal. All right. John's class is about out of time. Thursday, we'll pick up on chapter 3. We'll kind of go into the beef and dairy production. And pork. So we'll kind of, and also we'll look at poultry And we'll look at this from a global perspective. Okay. Once we get through these, we're going to start concentrating on the United States, and we're going to start looking at individual species of animals, reduction of individual species, and then we'll head into nutrition, reproduction. So, trying to get you guys to look at everything big, and we'll start narrowing it down. So, y'all have any questions or concerns, give me a call or email me. I'll be happy to help you out.
Okay, Dwayne, we'll see you.
All right, I'll see you guys. I'll see some of y'all back here at 1:30.
He says that it doesn't take a long time.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay, good deal. All right, guys. Every time I've been here, I've had to get the door unlocked. Okay. So, y'all get here before me. Just go down the end of the hall where you take the test and ask the lady to unlock the door. And you know how to cut this on. Hopefully we're getting the bugs worked out, and
The lady.
but I'll probably not come in for the plant science class. Okay. I'll just show up to teach mine about 10:30. So y'all had a good ride down there at Shelbyville?
There's like something with beds.
That's it.
Cool. Was it a world champion or first in the class? And then ended up with the reserve. That's pretty cool. It takes about a year, don't it? Because those hooves grow slow. What starts drying out. They crack. Scratches. What? I haven't heard that. The dew irritates it and kind of crack open and stuff. Yeah, I've heard it called scratches. Where is Shelby? Right. Is it down there at is it near Murfreesboro? Now, when you take that exit 53A, does that take you past that Middle Tennessee State? See, I've shown there the Middle Tennessee State. I remember first time I went down past that exit and then got off as like in a cloverleaf type exit type deal. It was a mess. All these exits getting on and off. And then I got on that road and I came back up and they told me, just go out, just turn left and go out and you'll hit 40. And so I left that Coliseum at Murfreesboro and just turned left on that main road and I went through all these horse farms. I just stayed on that road and I came right out to Interstate 40. And I couldn't remember the exit. But it's down below Murfreesboro. Not anymore. Yeah, I gotta go through the paper. Here for class.